Now, some have called me a cycling philanthropist, others have simply called me crazy, but you can decide for yourself. I, however, believe that God has called me to be an ambassador for children that have been abandoned by everyone except God. I have chosen ultramarathon cycling as my platform to do just that. I had failed to do what I set out to do. My perception, however, changed when I listened to a message on our answering machine that evening. It was from someone who had followed our journey. I had to listen to the message 3 times before I could understand what he was saying, because his voice was quivering and unclear with all the emotion. I will paraphrase the message he left me. Arvid, thank you for the example you set and showing me how to cope with disappointment. It meant a lot more to me than if you would have accomplished your goal. I will just highlight a couple of things that happened on the road. I set a blistering pace. I was on the bike 20 and a half hours a day, sleeping only 120 minutes a night. For the first 4 days, I averaged 545 kilometers per day, about 90 kilometers per day more than what was needed to break the record. I also knew that Halifax was a long way off and things would change. And boy, did they ever. But a defining moment was on the way to Marathon, Ontario. I recalled stopping at 2:30 a.m. engulfed in complete fog. Honestly, I did not think I could go on. As I was leaning on my bike, I noticed a ravine just a few feet away. It came to me that if I just nudged my bike even just a little bit, my bike would topple down and I would have a legitimate reason to quit. Just at that time, the support man pulled up alongside of me and I saw a perfectly good spare bike mounted on top of it. It would have been very difficult to throw that one overboard by accident as well. But see, it was here that my prayer changed from, God, help me to do this, to God, I cannot do this, but I will continue to do my best. I surrender the outcome of this event to you. It was a freeing moment and a lesson that I hope I will never forget. They canceled school, and 600 young people prayed for me. Then Mr. Mooley went on to pray. I assumed he would pray for safety, courage, strength, etc. But he didn't. In fact, in his prayer, he did not ask God for anything. He thanked God for the victory we would have. He thanked God that I would become the fastest person to ever cycle across Canada and become a Guinness World Record holder. We were 1,700 kilometers away from Halifax. We were now 5 hours behind the existing record pace. But in November of 2006, Ruth and I visited MCF. At one of the evening devotions, the youngest children were wandering around. I held out my arm. A little girl jumped on my lap. She sat and played with my fingers. It happened to be Charity. I had carried her picture for 30 days and 7,000 kilometers across Canada. Now she sat on my lap for 30 minutes. It was at that time that a picture of a child in need became a real person. We sat in that room that evening and participated in the evening program, surrounded by about 250 kids. The children were full of laughter, joy, and hope. But just a few years ago, they had been left to die on a rock. They roamed the streets to dig through garbage. They had been outcasts of society. Now they were singing and praising God. Their life changed because of one man's obedience to God's call. Charles Mooley chose to value a child's life more than the personal accumulation of material wealth. It became obvious to us that this was now our extended family. Now, there are many more experiences of ours and the Mooleys in the books that are available this morning for $20 each in the back. They include the 3 Mooley books written by Paul Boga, as well as When Quitting is Not an Option. This is my story, written by our son Paul, who is a youth pastor and a writer. What an honor and a blessing it is to have your son write your story. Especially when you're still alive. In conclusion, I want to share 3 lessons I've learned during my Guinness World Record ride across Canada. Number 1, I've learned that when I reach the end of my abilities, God is still in control. However, I still have to continue to do my best. Secondly, I've learned that making a difference does not come easy. There is a personal cost to it. Third, I've learned that the personal sacrifices I'm making are insignificant when compared to the personal rewards I'm experiencing.